What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Jason the Overwhelmed Gamer here, and today we are diving into the PS2 all-time classic, Shadow of the Colossus. If you're wondering if this game holds up in 2024, especially for new players, but even returning players, I have some thoughts on it. I've spent about 8 hours or so far, and yeah, let's talk about it. First, I want to dive into the story behind Shadow of the Colossus. It released in 2005 for the PlayStation 2 and developed by the legendary Team Ico. The game was directed by Fumito Uda. I'm sure I'm absolutely butchering that, but his unique vision transformed the way we view storytelling in games. He aimed to create a game that conveyed emotion through a minimalist design, focusing on mystery, atmosphere, and player interpretation rather than the heavy dialogue. The plot follows Wander, a young man on a quest to revive a girl named Mono, who has been sacrificed for nobody really knows, but it's not fully explained. You start out in this forbidden land where you encounter a mysterious entity named Dorman. Dorman claims that Wander can bring Mono back to life if he can defeat 16 colossi that are scattered throughout the land. But the big twist is the colossi, they're not your typical video game enemies. They're super huge, monumental, awe-inspiring, and each one feels kind of like a mini game in of itself. Getting into what makes Shadow of the Colossus stand out even today, I've played a lot of games over the years, but there's something undeniably powerful about the atmosphere in this one. It really feels like you're playing within a piece of art, and every single frame seems super intentional. The world in Shadow of the Colossus is vast, but very barren. There's not a whole lot to do besides explore and find the next colossi. There's no NPCs to talk to, no mini maps cluttering the screen, no side quests. Instead, you get a horse named Agro, who I'm not a super big fan of how he controls, but you have a sword, a bow, and basically 16 boss fights. But these aren't just like any boss fights. Each Colossus feels like a living, breathing creature, and each encounter is a puzzle in itself. When it comes to the gameplay, the controls can feel a little clunky by today's standards. Thankfully, you can go in and change the way the camera moves to kind of bring it up to more modern feel. Climbing up a Colossus and gripping onto its fur as a creature shakes does really feel like a struggle. This isn't a protagonist who effortlessly is leaping around. Every movement feels like a fight to stay on the Colossi. It's physically and emotionally intense in the way that it really draws you in. The exploration in the land is an experience in itself as well, with no direction or guidance other than like light from your sword, which can be honestly really misleading at times. The game tries to focus on observation and intuition, and the land, it's hauntingly beautiful, but it's super empty. You get a real sense of solitude in the land. You kind of feel lost and hopeless at times. Shadow of the Colossus has a way of making you feel almost bad about taking down these colossi. There's no like celebratory music, no reward screen. Instead, you often left feeling a sense of sadness or guilt as these big, majestic creatures collapse. You absorb this shadowy energy that's kind of disturbing. There's this underlying theme about the consequences of ambition and the cost of defying nature, I guess, and it's something that really hits home. It's also worth mentioning that a game without dialogue-heavy scenes, Shadow of the Colossus does an amazing job of conveying emotion just through the art style itself. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing. It brings you right into every aspect of the game, whether you're just wandering around the world or while you're fighting these colossi. It really sucks you into these battles. Now, on the technical side, Shadow of the Colossus was groundbreaking for its design on the PS2. I think it really pushed the hardware to its limits with expansive landscapes and these giant colossi. They really feel like Colossus, and they're just huge and so amazing when you run into them. Playing it today, it still easily holds up surprisingly well. Even in the original form, which is what I'm playing it on, thanks to the clever design and art direction, it really still holds up just fine playing it on the PS2. I haven't played the remasters, but I don't really see a reason to. The game's visuals are stunning. If the graphics are a big deal to you, maybe look at the remastered, but I don't know. If you're a purist or you just want to experience for the very first time, I think playing it on the PS2 is absolutely the way to go. That said, on the original PS2 version, there can be dips in frame rate and super intense moments, but it's never a deal breaker. It's not game breaking by any means. I hear the remaster is much smoother, which makes sense being on the PS4, but pick your poison. I don't think you're going to go wrong either way. So, is Shadow of the Colossus worth playing in 2024? Yeah, absolutely. I've been wanting to play this game ever since it first came out, and for whatever reason, just haven't got around to it until now. This game, it's more than just gameplay. It's a complete experience. I don't know that I've experienced a game quite like this where it really sucks you in and you feel like you're climbing on these giant colossi. So whether you're tackling it on the PS2 or you want to check out the PS4 version for a more polished look, the essence of Shadow of the Colossus, it's going to be the same. If you're thinking about tackling this in 2024, I think it's worth your time if you have the means to try it on the PS2. The developers really took their time in trying to build this beautiful world with, at the time, limited hardware. If you're looking for a more polished look, I guess go ahead and look at the PS4 version, but yeah, the PS2 game, it holds up extremely well. This game is as much about the journey as it is about the outcome, and it's a title that resonates because of how it stays with you long after you've put the controller down. I mean, like, after my play sessions of this game, you kind of think back about what you've just done, and it's really breathtaking. I can't speak highly enough about this game. So yes, if you haven't already, go play Shadow of the Colossus. Thanks so much for checking out our video of Shadow of the Colossus. Let me know in the comments if you've played this before and what your thoughts are, or if you're thinking about playing it. I've just absolutely loved this game, and if you like what we're doing here, do all the YouTube, like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. I'd super appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video. Late.